Are you ready to dive into the mysteries of the unknown? Tune into the electrifying X Zone radio TV show hosted by the one and only Rob McConnell.
I'm Rob McConnell, and get ready for a mind-bending journey through the unexplained phenomenon that surrounds us all. From UFO encounters to cryptids, ghosts, and everything in between, we've got it covered here in the X Zone.
Rob McConnell, the seasoned investigator and renowned radio personality, brings you the most compelling interviews with top experts, authors, and experiencers from around the world. Each episode is an unforgettable exploration into the depths of the extraordinary.
That's right, X Zone Nation. Join me every week as we open the door to the supernatural and explore the strange and amazing stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew.
And it's not just radio anymore. With our groundbreaking TV show, you can now witness the sessions unfold right before your eyes. From chilling reenactments to captivating visuals, prepare yourself for a multimedia experience like never before.
With a legacy spanning over 2 decades, the X Zone Radio and TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, is your ultimate source for mind-blowing entertainment and thought-provoking discussions. Join our growing community of truth seekers as we continue to unlock the world's mysteries.
So, why wait? Step into the X Zone and embark on a journey that will challenge your beliefs, ignite your curiosity, and keep you on the edge of your seat.
Remember, X Zone Nation, the truth is out there, and it's waiting for you right here on the X Zone Radio and TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't miss a minute of the action.
Tune in now on your favorite radio station or visit xzoneradiotv.com to join the adventure. The X Zone Radio TV show with Rob McConnell, where reality meets the unknown.
The X Zone Radio TV show, unraveling the secrets of the universe, one episode at a time. For more information, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone, to day number 2 of our PPRI special week here on the X Zone. And the PPRI, there's the paranormal conference that's being held in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's called the Halifax Paranormal Symposium. It's November the 1st. And for more information, visit www.ppri.net. The X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on Tuber. And in Canada, you can watch the X Zone TV channel on Rogers, Videotron, and on Shaw. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And we're streamed around the world and broadcast live from the studios of Classic 1220 CFAJAM right here in St. Catharines, and they stream us at classic1220.ca. Exo Nation, my first guest tonight is a very special guest joining us, Brian Baker, the founder of Superstitious Times, a fascinating online publication that dives deep into the world of folklore, superstition, and the paranormal. From an age-old belief system that has shaped cultures to the modern-day stories that blur the lines between fact and myth, Brian explores how superstition continues to influence our lives in ways we might not even realize. His website is superstitioustimes.com. Joining me now from Toronto, Ontario, just down the road on the QEW, is Brian Baker. And Brian, welcome to the X Zone.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
It's great having you with us, my friend. How did you get involved in the paranormal?
It's a very long-winded story. Probably the roots are British Columbia. During the recession, my dad was a carpenter and moved us from Ontario to British Columbia in search of work. And then, it was a tough time for my parents out there. And, to make a long story short, basically, they left me with friends of the family as they kind of went to Vancouver Island for a trip. And I had a weird experience at their house, which was just outside of probably Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge. And, it was in the middle of the night. I woke up, moonlight coming through the window. I saw the door open. So I thought it was like a cat or a dog that came in. And I'm a big cat person. So I crawled to the end of the bed and didn't see anything. Probably about 3 or 4 at this time. And then I pulled myself up to the head of the bed, looked in the opposite corner of the room and saw a black mass that started to take the shape of a person. And then, obviously being 3 or 4, I was scared, clutched my stuffed Dino, threw the sheet over my head and fell asleep.
Right.
So that's the foundation. And then growing up in the 80s, you were inundated with so much pop culture, hearing the Hendersons, Ghostbusters, Labyrinth, Flight of the Navigator, all that stuff. Baby, the legend of that Mokele Mobembe story. And that just kind of helped reinforce it. Unsolved mysteries, sightings.
Oh my gosh, all the great ones.
Yeah, X-Files. I watched Arts and Entertainment. They had in Search of in syndication.
Yeah.
So it just kind of laid the groundwork. And then I had a fascination with folklore and the paranormal, and I used that as my kind of go into archaeology at the University of Toronto. That was my undergrad. And then ended up going into journalism, which was a different kind of digging, of course.
Well, what first inspired you to create Superstitious Times?
Was idle during the mid 2010s. It was rough for journalists and editors and so forth to find work in media. I've been in media for 20 years, news media. I was kind of thinking, well, I want to write about the paranormal. I've kind of kept it squirreled away because as a journalist, you're kind of trying to be rational and kind of find practical information and all that. So in Canada, what I've noticed is the paranormal is a little outside the ordinary, and you just kind of know your audience, who you talk to, and then just kind of keep it quiet and down low on the other time. So I just said, what the heck, 2018, I ended up launching the website. Just bought the web domain, kind of crafted out the early symbol and logo, and then just went live with it, writing kind of little news briefs about stuff around the world that was happening, and then focused on long features about Canadian haunts and folklore and paranormal sightings and stuff like that.
How would you describe the mission and vision of Superstitious Times to a new audience?
It would just I use the little catch line, explore the lore, kind of taking what's outside the the uncanny experiences of Canadians and kind of finding that that connection between it all and just kind of relating it and doing so with a journalistic eye. So I've as I mentioned, I've been in news media for 20 years.
Right.
I'm looking for the stories, the experiencers, of course, as well as, kind of trying to ground it with, well, what's going on, what could be happening, and then the history of a location, especially when I'm writing about ghosts.
How have you found the media change when it comes to the paranormal?
There's been an interesting, I think, the shared trauma of the pandemic had kind of opened up a lot of reporting, people staying home and then having weird experiences at home when usually they would be at work and what have you. So you saw a lot of stories. There's one that came out of Florida. I remember seeing that. And of course, all the that tension and stuff like that, and people sharing their experiences during a traumatic time where a lot of people were dying. So I think that element opened the door for that openness, I think, within the news media. So you'll get stories like the Sioux Lookout howls that happened a few years back. Gino Mikas had recorded it. So there's still that balance, trying to kind of not go too far down the rabbit hole, but also to kind of share that anecdotal evidence.
How do you balance skepticism with open-mindedness in your reporting?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You know, it's all about the tone. You know, I've dealt with a lot of, you know, during my early journalism, the best people to interview are kids, because they have no filters and they'll call you on stuff. So kids are very open, and trying to get more than one word answers from kids takes a little adjusting your language. When you're talking with somebody who's going through something traumatic as well, you change your tone. So it's just been my ability to kind of learn what works when talking, and knowing the audience, knowing who I'm chatting with. And then it'll change from, you know, talking to a folklorist or historian about the location, and then somebody who experienced something they can't explain.
Do you find do you find when people are talking to you and they find out that you're writing a book or you're a reporter that deals in the paranormal, that they sometimes feed you a line that you find out later on is anything but credible?
I've been you know, something outside the paranormal. I was working on a story about you know, the Bruce MacArthur situation in Toronto a few years back, and one of the managers from one of the restaurants in a neighborhood in Toronto had said that the gentleman had come into the bar. When the owner of the bar found out, he contacted the newspaper. You know, I've written it in a way to say this is what the person alleges, and that's why you always see allegedly. So it kind of this is what somebody's sharing with you. As long as you have, you know, the interview backed up, the transcription, your notes, that kind of helps you as a journalist. But it's always important to kind of back it up with another source where this could be coming from. And that is why a lot of reporting has allegedly, especially with anecdotal evidence.
Stand by, you and I have to take our first break. Thanks very much for joining us, Brian. And if you'd like to find out more about Brian, superstitioustimes.com is the website, and Brian and I will be back on the other side. Brian's going to be at the Halifax Paranormal Symposium November 1st in Halifax, and if you'd like more information about that, ppri.net. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Don't go away.
An echo of the wonders that in halls we seek the unknown where mystery calls.
And welcome back, everyone. Brian Baker is our special guest here on this hour of the X Zone. His website is superstitioustimes.com. And let me ask you this. You're going to be one of the speakers, I believe, at the Halifax Paranormal Symposium coming up in November, the day after Halloween, as a matter of fact. What are you going to be talking about, and what can the listeners who are going to be going to this fantastic event, what can they look forward to hearing from you and gaining?
Yeah, I'm going to be chatting about the representation of cryptozoology in news media. So how reporters go about investigating something like the Sioux Lookout howls or other weird experiences. I know, like talking about Shag Harbor and so forth. So the focus is going to be a lot on, you know, the Canadian news media that I know, and chatting about how Maclean's presents it and other publications.
What do you think superstition reveals about the human psyche and our nature across different cultures?
Well, it definitely highlights what scares us during that
Mm,
time. If you're looking at something like a changeling in Irish folklore,
oh, yeah.
kidnapping children and replacing them with something that it looks like the child but isn't. That aspect, infant mortality, what was making us afraid at the time, losing a child, and of course during the 80s, the concern with sudden infant death syndrome and so forth. So these folklores kind of tap into our subconscious fears and they manifest themselves into these creatures, right?
Speaking about Bigfoot, here we are in the year 2025. Everyone has a cell phone that has high definition cameras in it. Uh, People have gone through the forests, well, ever since the sighting of the Bigfoot down in the U.S. with the Gimlin Patterson film, and yet no conclusive evidence that Bigfoot does exist. Is the fact that he hasn't been discovered part of the draw that keeps on people looking for Bigfoot?
Yeah, it's kind of like being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. You just get so close all the time, and you just don't.
Oh,
um,
oh, wait a minute. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's people shutting off the radio right now.
yeah.
But I love the example. That was good.
There's that little bit of draw that,
Mhm.
that there's always hope. There's
Yeah.
always hope, right? So I think that allure keeps people drawn to Bigfoot, or recently, we heard Mothman sightings in
Mhm.
Chicago, and so that mystique, that curiosity, just kind of plays in the back of everyone's head,
Mhm.
and it gets bums in the seats for the
Right.
Maple Leafs. It does
Yeah.
for the paranormal as well.
Well, by the way, our newsroom just gave me a message stating that the Mothman sightings in Chicago have been found out to be ICE agents getting ready to join the military and the National Guard under President Trump's orders. So there we go. No, I fully understand. And I've been doing the show now for 38 years. And the interest in the paranormal has grown substantially. Like
Definitely.
there are more believers now than ever were, and skepticism is rare.
It is.
Yes.
I've noticed that, and then there's more accommodating that unique aspect.
Mhm.
The dark tourism, people visiting, Point Pleasant, looking at the statue. They're going out to Kelowna to visit Ogopogo.
Yeah.
Um, so it's definitely there, whether it's cryptozoology or ghosts or even UFOs.
What do you think would happen if tomorrow a Bigfoot was found, put in front of the media, and say, well, here it is? In fact, you can use that example when it comes to extraterrestrials. You can use that example when it comes to lake monsters. What do you
Mhm.
think would happen? Do you think that the scientific community would finally get totally involved and work with the paranormal investigators to further investigate the phenomena that is now a reality?
I think they probably commandeered the investigating and kind of freeze out people because they want it to be done in an academic setting, of course. And I
Mhm.
think you'd have that friction, even though that the paranormal investigators, like through their work, which
Mhm.
it doesn't belittle them or debase anything that they do. You would just want an academic setting. So there could be collaborations. I don't want to be pessimistic or
Sure.
cynical about both sides, but I think it would be a big watershed moment. That's for sure.
Um, but isn't it the job of reporters like yourself to keep the scientific community honest and to make sure that that all the information is totally disclosed, that there is transparency? And this is why people like yourself and other members of the Canadian media are respected so well around the world.
Definitely. I mean, you wanna make sure that the information is getting out and nothing is kind of kept
Yeah.
away. I mean, that's the whole point with full disclosure and UFO and UAP reporting and so forth. And I think it's incumbent on journalists to talk to all the players, all the stakeholders, and get their insight, their input, and find out what's going on. That's what we're here for, to dig the dirt up.
What's your favorite Canadian paranormal story?
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
I have, I have another conference I'm going to, and I'm kind of going over my 5 favorite haunted locations. I think there's a consistent theme. If I may talk about ghosts, of course.
Of course.
I like the idea of that forlorn bride trope that just kind of permeates Canada from coast to coast. And it's almost as if the people who started reporting these bride stories, whether it's Banff Springs or it's the Algonquin Resort in St. Andrews, it's almost like they read Wuthering Heights and they just kind of transferred that into a ghost story at a location that has that creepy Victorian vibe. Not to discredit that there is an entity there that's weeping or what have you. It's just a very common trope in Canadian hauntings that I find.
Since the experience you had at the young age of 4, have you had other paranormal experiences?
None at all. I'm pretty.
Really?
I that experience set the tone, and but after that, nothing. Yeah.
What's your take on UFOs? Are they real? Are they classified aerial phenomena that is part of one superpower versus the other, or are they from somewhere out there?
Well, I mean, I want to kind of. It's an interesting element. I would say that we're very arrogant if we think we're alone in this universe. That's for sure. And a lot of some of the physicists' theories of Michio Kaku and string theory and the parallel universes and so forth. So I mean, time on the planet is measured linearly, overlap, and that's where a lot of ghost stuff happens. So I'd be curious if it's not just kind of a little bit of overlap and replay, or it is actual visitors, or if it is taking the new technology out for a spin and nobody's talking about it, right? So they had to test the Blackbird at one point. Lockheed Martin had to test that, so eventually it gets into the mainstream, and then
I remember well when they started testing the F-117 at Area 51, and people would go sit outside the base gates, and they would see all these strange maneuvers. They'd see lights. They'd see stuff that they had no idea that there was actually aerial technology that had been developed that could do what these aircraft could do. So, I understand that. And I believe we live in a wondrous time that people are looking for the paranormal. People are reporting stories that they've experienced and encountered within the paranormal. You've got near-death experience, afterlife communication, and the doors have just blown open. And it's like, all right, we have so many stories now. What do we do with them, and how do we prove them? And people who've had paranormal experiences, in my opinion, Brian, are not hiding in the closets anymore. They have nothing to fear, thanks to the media, thanks to authors like yourself and people who go out and say, you know what? You're not alone. People across Canada, the United States, around the world have had similar experiences. Is it a coincidence? I don't think it is.
No, I think I think Canada being more secular in our approach to things, we tend to kind of stay quiet because we don't want to kind of be grouped into that aspect. But with the openness and more understanding, and how reporters have kind of developed that level of empathy over time when reporting on certain situations. There's that approach to just listening, and I think that's the important thing, is to just listen to someone share their story.
I had the opportunity of interviewing John Robert Colombo.
Excellent.
And you know, a great interview. And in fact, I've got a couple of his books here from the people that I believe you put your books with, Dundurn.
Yes.
Yeah. You and I have to take our break, my friend. Listen, thanks so much for being with us, X Zone Nation. If you'd like to find out more about this wonderful Canadian journalist, of course, as Canadians, we stick together. Elbows up. Come on, elbows up. www.superstitioustimes.com. And Brian is going to be at the 2025 Halifax Paranormal Symposium in Halifax on November the 1st. If you'd like more information about the event, or if you'd like to buy tickets, I understand after speaking to Elliot yesterday, they're going fast. Go to www.ppri.net. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and streamed around the world on Classic 1220 CFAJ at classic1220.ca. Also, you can watch us on demand on Tuber, on, let me see, Shaw, Rogers, and in Quebec, Videotron. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Please don't go away.
Igniting the spark, whispers of spirits, both gentle and bold. Tales of the ancients in the stories retold, from haunted old houses to...
NASA has confirmed that they have evidence of life beyond Earth.
This discovery is confirmed.
Well, let's see, we've had visitors again. Yeah. Anything worth mentioning?
I filmed 16 minutes on March 5th, 1994, 16 minutes of broad daylight UFO activity.
The other side, the spirit realm, is a parallel dimension which runs, which coexists with ours. And what spirits are doing is they're sending waves of frequency from that dimension to ours.
The government instituted the truth embargo. The government poured disinformation and misinformation into this field, encouraging hoaxes and any other foolishness. It created a truth vacuum that naturally was going to be filled with theories and assertions and other stuff.
The oil oligarchs and the banks and the people who are making decisions that are leading us down the wrong path.
They've undermined the research, intimidated and threatened witnesses. The government is responsible for the fact that the status of this issue is not resolved.
I'm Rob McConnell, host and executive producer of the X Zone radio show. Now we are set to bring the amazing world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology to broadcast TV and online video with the development of X Zone TV. X Zone TV will now bring our loyal listeners and new viewers face to face with the most controversial and well-known personalities in the field of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology. From scientists to theorists, astronauts to adventurers, celebrities, pundits, advocates, and naysayers, they'll all join our rapid-fire TV broadcast, interactive discussion, and debate. Interest in the paranormal and parapsychology has never been more intense, and it continues to grow. The truth is out there, so take a deep breath and join us as we step into the light. For more information about X Zone TV, please contact me, Rob McConnell, directly at these coordinates, Rob McConnell at xzonetv.com.
In the late night hours when the world's asleep,
Rob McConnell's voice echoes secrets to keep. From Roswell's whispers to tales of the sky. On the X-Zone Radio, we learn to fly high. With every new guest, the story unfolds. From abductees' tales to the mysteries told. Government cover-ups, they're deep and they're wide. But we're on a quest with the truth as our guide. Oh, journey through the X-Zone, the cosmos we...
And welcome back, everyone. Our guest this hour is Brian Baker. He is the founder of Superstitious Times. His website is superstitioustimes.com. And Brian is going to be one of the speakers at the 2025 PPRI Halifax Paranormal Symposium. It's going to be November the 1st, and it's a beautiful place. Halifax is a gorgeous place. It is rich with history. Everything you need or anything you would plan to do on any vacation can be found within minutes of where the event is going to be taking place. And I know for a fact, I visited Halifax many times. The food, out of this world, especially if you like seafood. Once again, ppri.net is the website, and you can find all about the PPRI Halifax Paranormal Symposium right there. And our guest this hour, Brian Baker, is going to be one of the speakers there. We're looking forward to hearing more from Brian. In fact, Brian, you've written a book called Eerie Whispers. What's it all about?
Yeah, so it's on bookshelves now through Dundurn Press. Kind of explore Canada's reluctant relationship with its ghostly lore, how we're kind of standoffish to open to talk publicly about ghosts unless it's a socially acceptable setting. So a campfire or Halloween, or a new horror movie comes out and of the supernatural vein and so forth.
How long did it take you to research the book and then actually get it from the manuscript to the publisher, through the editing process, getting it back to the publisher, and then finally having that hard-covered or the book that you were just showing us in your hands?
Yeah, this took 2 years. Wow. I'm very appreciative that Dundurn gave me that time to do it, of course. And started the first year doing the interviews, kind of split it up into like thirds, and then submitted my manuscript. So a lot of the interviews were done right up until when I submitted. I was about a week behind on the deadline. I asked for an extra week, but I got it in, and we went through the editing process and added a few things, took away a few things, reshuffled the deck. And then, I think early August, I finished editing the index, and then we're good.
I understand you're working on a second book?
I would love to pitch a second book, of course, and focusing on cryptozoology and Canada's man versus nature kind of aspect to our cryptozoological lore. So I'm kind of trying to polish up a pitch to them, and we'll see how Eerie Whispers does first before I say, hey, are you interested in a second book?
Well, I wish you all the best of luck, because we need to get this information out to the public, because I'm sure that when people hear about your book, like you and I were discussing before, they come forward with more information. Canada is rich with lake monsters. You mentioned Ogopogo, but we have Champ in Lake Champlain. We have Erie Pogo right here in Lake Erie. Yep. There's, I believe, a monster what lake is Barry on? Barry, Ontario.
Lake Simcoe. Igopogo.
Yeah. Yes. And Lake Megantic Lake in Quebec, or no, Lake Memphremagog.
Yeah, Memphremagog and Memphrey, yeah. And then Manipogo and Lake Manitoba. And there's just a bunch of them like scattered all across, I mean, we have the most freshwater lakes of all the countries in the world. So a lot of lore and a lot of sightings, of course.
Once again, I'm going to pose the same question. Here we are in the year 2025. Everybody has a high definition camera in their phone, and the photographs that seem to be coming in are worse now than the photographs that were taken years ago. And still, Nessie hasn't been the picture of Nessie proving beyond a shadow of doubt she's there. And it seems that as technology goes forward, there's less and less photographic proof of anything that is paranormal. How would you explain that?
Well, I know trying to take action shots of my kids with an iPhone is very challenging, of course, but without getting some of the blur. I think it's a very good question, and it's not an easy answer by any way. But
No.
I would hazard a guess that there's just more people venturing into this area, and I think we don't give animals enough credit that they can be hide and seek champions. I think you have more people around, then they're going to kind of slink back even further.
Yeah, for example, urban development is taking over the lands that the animals have called home for years. And here in St. Catharines, we have an infestation of coyotes. So they're coming forward. And I wonder why, with the urban development in the wooded areas across Canada, why Bigfoot hasn't been so brazen to come forward and say, hey, back off, like other animals do.
It's interesting, and it's certain animals, and then we call them pests, of course, but animals that adapt alongside humans. So, I mean, Toronto is synonymous with raccoons.
Yeah.
And, they survive alongside of us. So these animals like rats and cockroaches, and they adapt, while other animals that want nothing to do with us kind of take a step back and try and get into tighter biomes and so forth. I mean, I did an interesting story for the Town Crier, which was a local paper in Toronto a few years back, about the possibility of cougars kind of using the ravine system in Toronto to kind of hunt. And one of the challenges, of course, therein is the ravine system in Toronto is slowly being closed off. And you're seeing that in the lack of genetic diversity in deer. So because there's no new deer coming into the ravine system, and there's a lot of kind of inbreeding within that population. So I think it's some animals stay away from humans, and then the animals that do stick with us are the ones that have that natural adaptation to living alongside us. Yeah.
Have there been, to your knowledge, any Sasquatch sightings here in Ontario?
Well, Sioux Lookout, the howls, of course,
Right.
that was a few years ago, 2019, before the pandemic, when Gino Meekis kind of made that recording. And there have been others more like, Kenora Way and so forth. So, and you wouldn't expect that, because Bigfoot's always associated with the Pacific Northwest, the Cordilleran regions. But I think you see that it's quite the contrary in places like the U.S.
Sure.
Where you're seeing in Pennsylvania and Michigan. And then
Florida,
you see
on Cape.
Yeah, and even in Quebec and Labrador, they've had the Traverse Pine gorilla, where Adam Schultz wrote a book completely dedicated to him following the path, and he had a few inexplicable experiences throughout the book he wrote. And he's an adventurer who goes out, and he doesn't traditionally write about the paranormal or the uncanny. So I think that was one of the most interesting books I had read with regards to sightings in non-traditional areas.
Your book, Eerie Whispers, it's available at fine bookstores, both brick and mortar as well as online. Is it available on Amazon.com as well?
Yes.
Excellent. Exo Nation, there you go. If you're into cryptozoology, the name of the book that our guest has written is entitled Eerie Whispers. And like Brian said, it's available online. It's also available at your favorite bookstore. And if you know somebody who's into cryptozoology, I will bet you they would love to get a copy of this book. Brian, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to get more information about Brian, his travels, his get into his psyche, go to his website, superstitioustimes.com. I'm Rob McConnell. Brian and I return on the other side as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us being streamed around the world by our good friends at your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ, streaming us at classic1220.ca. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
In the late night hours.
Are you ready for a tale that will leave you on the edge of your seat? Get ready to dive into the gripping memoir by Bart Sibrel titled Moon Man. Bart Sibrel takes you on a heart-pounding journey, unmasking the truth behind America's famous Apollo missions. Prepare yourself for hair-raising encounters with agents from the U.S. government's top secret agencies. In Moon Man, Sibrel fearlessly reveals his real-life espionage adventures, shining a light on one of the CIA's best-kept secrets. Brace yourself for shocking revelations, including Sibrel's discovery of privately recorded audio exposing an Apollo astronaut's chilling plot, a plot orchestrated by the CIA. That's right. As Sibrel unveils this groundbreaking evidence, it becomes clear that there is much more to the Apollo missions than meets the eye. Could it be that we've been deceived all along? Moon Man is a gripping page-turner that challenges everything you thought you knew. It's a mind-bending journey into the unknown, where the line between truth and fiction becomes blurred. Don't miss this opportunity to uncover the secrets hidden for decades. Let your curiosity guide you as you join Bart Sibrel on his quest to find the truth. Moon Man, available now at Sibrel.com. That's Sibrel.com. Prepare to have your beliefs shaken to the very core.
It all. My body's a maze that I try to read. Every step forward, a silent need. But I won't let this break who I am. I've learned how to fight, learned how to stand. I may fall, but still I rise.
And welcome back, everyone. Brian Baker is my special guest, and he is going to be at the 2025 Halifax Paranormal Symposium on November the 1st in Halifax. And if you'd like to find out more about the symposium, if you'd like to get your tickets because they're going very fast, visit www.ppri.net. Brian is the author of a book that everyone who's interested in the paranormal, especially ghosts, should buy. It's, pre-Christmas presents are great. Halloween presents are great. Anytime to get a good book is great. And the name of Brian's book is Eerie Whispers, Exploring Canada's Reluctant Relationship with Its Ghostly Lure. And it's available at fine bookstores and online. And yes, Craig, you can actually go on to Amazon, use your gift card that I gave you for Christmas and get yourself a copy. Brian's website, superstitioustimes.com. First of all, Brian, I want to thank you ever so much for coming on the show. Congratulations on all you do, and thank you for the investigative manner in which you look at the paranormal, giving it credibility. So where does Brian Baker go from here? You know, you're getting ready to put your second book. Do you go on these ghost walks? Do you go on ghost investigations?
Every time I go to someplace new, I do a ghost walk. My wife and I, when we went out to Victoria, British Columbia, we did the one out there.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get out to, we did the one up in Ottawa recently, the Bytown Museum, when we were there in the summer. So it's always great to kind of explore the history, which is almost synonymous with a ghost walk. You learn about the history of the area. And that's how, through ghost stories, we learn about history in this country. I notice very much.
I believe it's the paranormal investigators and ghost walk tours that are actually keeping history alive that would otherwise have been lost. If ever you're down in Niagara, a good friend of mine, Kyle Upton, runs the Fort George tours.
Yes, yeah.
fascinating tours. I've gone on it, and there are those who hear the violins. There are those who hear the footsteps in the parade ground. There are those who hear, I believe the little girl's name is Sarah, and they see her at the end of the tunnel. And then there's those like me. I don't see them. I don't hear them. You know, I want to believe. People say, Rob, why do you do your show if you've never had an experience? It's very simple. I want to believe, and I truly believe there are people out there like yourself and like Elliot and the rest of the people like in the PPRI and other investigators across Canada and the United States who are searching for that truth, that evidence. And one day, hopefully, and this is my goal, is to have that person on the show and to break that news right here. Plus, I love the idea that guests like yourself come on the show and that listeners can say, that happened to me, and I thought it was my imagination. So thank you for all that you do. Where do you see ghost lore in the future?
Ghost lore in the future?
Yeah. Investigation into the phenomenon.
Yeah, I think, there's always an ebb and flow. And I kind of think it's tied to generations sharing their stories. So, and pop culture is a big driver of that, and as well as true crime. If you pull that stuff together to create the lore of a location, then experiences, people who are into the haunting will share that. And I think right now we're entering that kind of flow of sharing stories and not as much fear of being judged or ridiculed for having a weird experience.
During your research as a journalist, have you found that there are crossover points between the different paranormal phenomena throughout the different cultural classes? For example, from our First Nations into modern society?
Definitely. 100%. I think a lot of our stories for cryptozoology, especially, come from probably colonialist misinterpretations of certain spirits and entities. So, for example, Ogopogo started as just, the offering of tobacco to the spirit of Lake Okanagan, and then that would be misinterpreted. Nahaha Iku, of course, the indigenous name for the spirit of Lake Okanagan. And then that turns into kind of a sea serpent, and then there's a huge marketing thing to draw people to Kelowna or Penticton and so forth. And then you'll see that with also the Wendigo as well, being extrapolated and not misinterpreted, but adapting to a new culture's kind of skew of it. So that there's those aspects that I see a lot, and a crossover between cryptozoology and ghosts and even UFOs as well.
What is your take on the increase in paratourism?
Part and parcel the dark tourism. I think it's we're very driven by trying to draw out that curiosity in tourists. I know for myself personally, I always visit a location that's tied to something paranormal. I know I mentioned going on a ghost walk in downtown Victoria, but my wife and I went up to Craigdark Castle, as well as visited Cadborough Bay.
Wow.
So just paid a visit to the Caddy statue there and hung out for a while and had some ice cream.
So since you haven't had any paranormal experience since the age of 4, how do you feel when you go on these tours that so many other people have had sightings or have felt the spirit, and yet here you are, an author, a journalist, and like me say, what's wrong with me? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do refer to myself as a dead battery, not being sensitive or any charge, right? But I think as a writer, the one thing I get out of it is seeing people's reactions, sensing them.
Yeah.
James White does an incredible seance here in Toronto around this time of year. And, you know, he's also a mentalist, but just sensing the tension from other people in the room during a seance where he does a traditional Victorian table tipping kind of aspect where you're holding hands and in a circle. So I think as a writer, you want that flavor, that texture that adds to the story and places you there experiencing what other people are experiencing. Sorry for the sirens.
My place or your place? There you go. Where do you see Superstitious Times heading in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's a good question. I really want to explore. I work full time as a business editor, and I've got 2 kids. But I keep putting stories together, sharing events, sharing books of other authors, interviewing the people who write about the paranormal in Canada, as well as kind of doing features that pull on the history. I'll keep doing that, and I'll keep kind of doing the books to kind of like merge in with that as well, to expand on the ideas that I develop from the stories.
Brian, I've got about a minute left in this hour. That's gone by so fast. You'll have to come back again and share more with us. What do you hope listeners and viewers tonight will take away from this interview and Superstitious Times?
Well, there's always a place to explore the lore, and kind of expand on and add to the stories that Canada has. So many authors have written about it, like John Robert Colombo, Barbara Smith, Ian Gibbs, and it just kind of adding to the discussion and getting people to open up and not be afraid of sharing their stories, whether it's a sighting of a ghost ship in Chaleur Bay or Sasquatch in BC.
If people have a story that they'd like to send you, how is the best way to do that?
You can definitely reach out to me via the Superstitious Times, the website, as well as the Superstitious Times at gmail.com.
Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Continued success, and thanks for being with us. And once again, you're going to be at the PPRI Halifax Paranormal Symposium, November the 1st. And I wish you continued success, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Take care of yourself.
You too.
XO Nation, this has been the first hour of tonight's show. We'll be back on the other side of this break that is coming up at the top of the hour as we discuss more of the strange, the bizarre, the paranormal here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on demand on Tuber, where you can watch us on Shaw, Rogers, and Videotron here in Quebec, and in 170 other countries. I'll be back as we continue here in the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Don't forget the PPRI Halifax Paranormal Symposium, November 1st. For more information, visit PPRI.net.
Some days I walk, some days I crawl, some days I can't feel much at all.
Halifax is calling, November lights the sky. At the Tower Hotel, the questions never die. Ancient astronauts and alien stories to be shown. Dr. Greenberg leads the way to mysteries unknown. Voices of the unknown.
live on the X-Zone. Tony and Ron with Staticon, the dead begin to speak. Natalie brings the healing light, the comfort we all see. Pierre turns the Ouija key, Brian writes it down, while Laura Warren's messages will turn the night around. Voices